Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Soini Dutt, coming to you from Tokyo Big Sight, the ultimate hub where Japan's leading automakers are unveiling their next generation models, shaping the future of mobility. From Honda to Suzuki to Toyota, everyone has something exciting in store. Let's check out the Honda Mobility 2025 show together.
Now what you see in front of me is the Honda Zero SUV. You've seen this earlier at the CES. This is a very high-end, top-spec EV a Honda SUV might look like from the future. As you can see, the design is very modern, minimalistic, boxy. It has that kind of shape that you want from a big, luxurious SUV. It's got that flat, very practical shape. The ground clearance, as you'll notice, is not very much like most modern EVs. It's more designed for streamlining and for better range. You notice this flat, very station wagon-like paneling. It gives you a lot of space. I especially like how this is done, and the lighting element is really quite smartly done. Now this is what it looks like on the inside. As you will see, it's got that very modern, minimalistic, very striking look. It has that yoke kind of steering setup, the very, very minimal kind of instrument cluster, and I really like how the screen has been done up. You have that fully flat kind of screen. It merges into each other. I'm sure it's got a lot of screen real estate, and as you notice, you don't have wing mirrors, you have cameras even for the rear view mirror, and right there is the center console. Now after the Honda Zero SUV, you have the Honda Zero Alpha. Now this is also an SUV but slightly smaller, slightly more approachable, and this is the one that might make more sense for India. As you can see, it has that same very boxy flat roof shape, a lot more ground clearance, so it'll be a great fit for India. Those big chunky tires that you see in a lot of Indian SUVs. Now when you come to the front, you will see that it has a similar face to the Honda Zero SUV, but again a little bit more simplified. It still looks recognizably like a Honda, so that's very good. A lot of gloss black, and this is where the charging element is. That flat bonnet, of course it's an EV, so you'll probably have a frunk, but the way the lighting is done, the way the headlights are done, you have the charge port there. A very conventional kind of grille arrangement at the bottom to cool the battery pack. You have those typical big wheels that a lot of EVs have nowadays. Now we don't know any details about the battery sizes or the powertrains, but as far as these things go, you can expect maybe a 60 to 70, maybe an 80 kilowatt hour battery pack, about 500 kilometers of range, maybe even more than that. I'm talking real world range. And of course, you might also get a single motor or a dual motor setup. Power outputs can be as much as you want them to be. What you see behind me is the Honda Prelude. We all like our Honda cities. We've grown up loving them. But if you're an enthusiast and you really want a fast, fun car under 1 crore, then this might just be a great choice for you coming from Honda. Now, what is it? It's of course a sporty coupe, but there's a catch here. There's actually a hybrid. Now, the unique bit about the Prelude is that it's front-wheel driven, and the engine is a 2-liter hybrid powertrain, the kind you see in very regular SUVs, but of course it's been tuned out to create a lot more power. So in this setup, in this quite small car, it's making 200 PS-ish and a combined torque of over 300 Newton meters. So it's still going to be quite a fairly potent machine. Now what I really like about it, that even though it's front wheel driven, look at how low the nose is. It looks like a mid-engine sports car. That's what I thought at first. I think it looks really smart, especially the way the band sort of runs around the face. And I also must say that the rear looks really smart. Of course, you have the quite common trend of there being a full width light bar kind of situation. I like the new Honda logo. It's so minimal and nice. I mean, I do miss the fact that you don't get that edge any longer, but it's there. And if you were wondering what kind of practicality you might expect, it's got a pretty big boot and it's actually a 4-seater. Now we'll go inside and show you what the cabin is actually like. Yeah, I mean, I would not really try to fit in here. Maybe it's for kids or your shopping bag. Now what you see behind me is the Suzuki Vision E-Sky. It's a small electric car from Suzuki. Now, in the larger scheme of things, it sits below the e-Vitara. It has that typical key car kind of aesthetic to it. Although I must say that the front with the screen kind of arrangement, the pixelated look is very smart, very modern. The C-shaped lighting, you can imagine how it might look in production form. It's very compact, very minimal. It's a fully born electric kind of architecture, so the battery pack is underneath. And to give you an idea, it's bigger than the Alto, about the size of a Celerio, not as tall as a Wagoner, but I think it looks smart. Those tiny mirrors, the way the boxy flat sides. It's a smart looking EV car, and of course, right there behind, above the rear wheel arches, you can see is the charging port. Now, if I were to tell you that this was a Corolla and you hadn't seen the headline of this video, you wouldn't believe me. But this is exactly what the new Corolla will look like. It's coming in the near future. And Toyota has gone, as you can see, in a completely different direction. It's no longer that safe, secure sedan that we like and just tend towards if we want an easy car to live with. It's become much more stylish. It looks a bit like that new Prius that's there in many international markets of the Toyota or the Camry that we have in India. The wheels are very large. Yes, you might put it down to it being a concept. But even in the real world, I'm pretty sure it'll be those large wheels. And just the silhouette, as you can see, it's this fastback kind of coupe-ish shape. You wouldn't call it a regular sedan. For example, you have this very, very smart charge indicator here. I'm guessing it will be a plug-in hybrid and an EV. Now, if you come towards the back, again, it has the shape of, say, the Toyota Mirai, that fuel cell car, which looks very sporty, very elegant in that sense. And yeah, again, at the rear, you have this very kind of cockpit-like arrangement, this bubble kind of thing, which gives you like a kind of spaceship vibe. I'm pretty sure it's been done to reduce drag. But this is where things again get quite interesting. You have this very distinct full-width lighting, this kind of spoiler effect, and you won't mistake it for anything other than a Corolla. The most important one here, it's the new Land Cruiser FJ. It's the smallest Land Cruiser that Toyota is going to make right now. And if it does come to India, it's going to create quite a bit of a splash. Now, to start with, it's based on the familiar IMV platform. That's the same one that underpins the Fortuner and the Innova. And in terms of its size, just to give you an idea, it's about 4.6 meters long, about 2 meters wide, and about 1.8 meters tall. So think of it being about the size of a Scorpio N. Now, I can't open the engine for you, but it's a 2.7 liter petrol that makes about 163 PS and about 246 Newton meters. So yeah, maybe it's not the most ideal engine for India, but pretty sure there'll be a diesel somewhere down the line, and it's paired with a 6-speed gearbox. And of course, you have all manner of 4x4 equipment here. What's really funky about this is the way it looks. It's about 2.6 meters, the wheelbase. The length, like I mentioned, is about 4.6 meters long, but just the styling of it, look at how chunky and boxy it looks, and very different from what you think of a Land Cruiser currently. But I must say that the rear is probably the smartest angle in the way that it looks so boxy and flat and chunky. And once I open the boot, look at the kind of space I have to put my luggage in. Now you will recognize this cockpit as being that of a modern Toyota, especially those two screens. This you've seen before, a smaller version of it in the Land Cruiser 300. And this screen you've seen many times before in the Camry and the Land Cruiser 300. But what you do get is a lot of chunky, hard buttons. Like, for example, this big gear selector here, this big manual handbrake. The kind of space that you have in the center console, the big knobs for the 4x4 system, and then, of course, all the chunky climate controls that are such a Toyota thing. Here's a look at the cameras. And new Toyota steering wheel, and that's the glove box. And as you might expect, there's a good mix of soft materials and those tough plasticky bits and that great view out.
Well, from futuristic Lexus concepts to the regal century, more coming from the Toyota Mobility Show 2025. Stay tuned, you're watching Overdrive. Welcome back. You're watching Overdrive. The Japan Mobility Show 2025 once again proved to be a spectacle of innovation, craftsmanship, and bold design, with automakers pushing the boundaries of what's next in mobility. Let's check out more of the highlights.
Now this is probably the fastest looking thing at this Japan Mobility Show 2025, and this is the Lexus Sport concept. What it looks like is that it's a hybrid sports car, supercar kind of thing, because you have a lot of those cues. You have that long bonnet, you got those air vents along the sides, as you can see. Rather big venting. Now all the lighting, it's somewhat reminiscent of the Lexus LC that we had in India for a little bit, and of course there are cues of the LF. Now when you come to the side, you'll notice it's got that great coupe proportions, those extra large wheels. They may be of a staggered size, but I don't know. But you have that really sporty sloping silhouette. Again, reminds you a bit of previous Lexus sports cars like the LC mainly. But I really like how the roof especially has been stretched out to make it more aerodynamic, which again makes me think that this is going to have quite a high degree of electrification, but some really massive brake calipers, you can see. Now if we have a sort of distant look at what the cabin of this sport concept is like, and you'll see that it's a very sporty kind of cabin. A lot of those traditional Lexus cues are there, even though it's a yoke kind of steering wheel. I'm personally not very fond of these, but maybe this is a, I don't know, probably a drive-by-wire system and so on. But the way the cockpit has been designed is again very much like endurance racing that Lexus and Toyota do. As you can see, it's quite unique. You have those two exhaust tips, that big chunky diffuser, that F1 style lighting at the bottom. Now a lot of these bits, especially the grille arrangement, is taken from the LFA. Now a lot of these venting here suggests that, okay, maybe it might be something mid-engine. The spoiler, as you can see, is retractable, and there's no rear wind screen. Now I don't know how much of it is just show for this concept car and how much of it will be real. Maybe the production car will have an actual windscreen, but from here it looks like it may be a rear wheel or a rear mid-rear engine kind of layout for this car. Maybe the electric motors will be in the front. All this while, when I told you what a Lexus LS was, the first thing that popped in your mind was a big, luxurious luxury sedan. As you can see, that's not the case anymore. The LS now is this absolutely wild MPV. If you thought the LM was outrageous, this makes that look like something very, very basic. Just look at how outrageous this thing is. First of all, the scale, it is as big as a bus, if not bigger. It's about 150% larger than what a Lexus LM is. And just look at how detailed the massive windscreen is, the lighting, those big chunky, the Lexus elements that we know so well. They've really gone to town with that. The lit up Lexus badge. You have those absolutely massive wheels that I can't see how big they are, but they seem at least 21, 22 inches. That big flat panel, this small kind of screen here that actually gives a lot of information. Maybe it gives you charge speed, charge level. It gives pedestrians warnings like it's turning left or right. And this big boxy kind of closed off space where you'll probably lounge around in. But here's the absolutely mad bit. This thing is 6-wheel drive, and instead of another big wheel at the back, you have those two tiny wheels. I don't know why it's there. Maybe it's for better stability, better grip, making it a smoother ride. But what it does is it makes for this thing look like nothing else on the road. It's absolutely outrageous how large and attention grabbing this MPV, so to speak, is. And that outrageous kind of look is carried over to the back, where you notice that this lighting is part of the sort of the bodywork, and the way that it comes down, these angular cuts and creases, the way those Lexus sort of elements are right into the bumper. And this whole bit completely opens up motorized and reveals a huge kind of yacht deck kind of space with the seating area inside. It's got this absolutely massive living space, as you can see. In all kinds of ways, I'm sure you will be able to customize the space into all kinds of seating configuration, but as it stands now, it looks like a kind of a business lounge, a place where you will probably relax. What you see behind me is the Toyota Century, the original one, which was made to celebrate 100 years of Toyota setting up their Loom factory. And it was meant to be the ultimate luxury car from Japan to compete with the likes of the Rolls Royces and the Bentleys of the world. Now, this was quite a few years ago. This had a V12, but now in 2025 at the Japan Mobility Show, Toyota is taking the Century brand to a whole new level. Now it may look like a coupe kind of shape, but this entire cabin is just for you. There's no back seat as such because the driver is a separate small compartment and you take up all of the space. So even though it's sort of a coupe-ish roof, it's pretty much just your own personal bubble on the road. And I must say the sheer size of it, before we get to how smart it looks, it's really quite big. It's much bigger than the usual luxury SUV that you might find, especially with those extremely large tires. It's got that very clean, majestic, timeless look to it, and they've really gone overboard with it in the front, where you'll notice that glow-up Phoenix and the slimmer lighting. That's happening at the back too. You have that LED panel which will probably be a charge indicator. I'm sure this will either be a hybrid or an EV. We don't have too many details yet, but when you come to the rear, you have that extreme, very luxurious fastback shape, and as is now the trend, there's no real rear windscreen. I'm guessing you'll have enough cameras for visibility. Now, we have no clue yet if we'll ever get a Century car in India, but yes, Lexus is growing, Toyota is also grown quite a lot in India, and I think considering all the competitors of this brand are already in India, this will fit right into the top of our market.
Well, Honda plans to bring the Zero Alpha compact SUV to India by 2027. I catch up with Kunal Bell from Honda Cars India after this very short break. Stay tuned, you're watching Overdrive. Honda is entering a bold new chapter with the Zero lineup of cars that they have showcased at the Tokyo Mobility Show right here. In fact, the first product that is going to come to India, the Zero Alpha compact EV crossover for India, and talking more about it is Kunal Bell, the VP of Marketing and Sales, Honda Cars India. Kunal-san, tell me a bit more about the compact EV that is coming to India. We waited a very long time for it. And what can you tell me more about it, the timeline of this one especially?
Yeah, so we're equally excited, So let me touch upon the basic philosophy of Honda of 2050. We're basically aiming at 2 zeros.
Right.
The first zero is about carbon neutrality, and the second zero is about the zero traffic collision fatalities. Today, what we're showcasing to you is about the carbon neutrality. So early this year in the CES, we launched 2 models.
Right.
In terms of one is the Honda Zero Series Sports, which is the SUV, and the Honda Zero Series Sedan. So now we are today launching the it's a global premiere of Zero Alpha, which is basically a gateway model of the global Zero Series and specifically designed for the Indian market. And not just that, we're going to manufacture in India and we're going to supply and export it to Japan and some other Asian countries. So on that note, it's a very special model for us, and there's a lot of focus on the Indian market from Honda Motors globally. And since you asked about the timelines of launch, we're going to launch it in FY 26-27. That's the launch plan.
All right, and does this set a precedence for more Zero Series vehicles coming into India? Of course, the SUV as well is going to be coming in. So beyond that as well?
Yeah, so the initial plan is the Zero Series Alpha. Alpha basically stands for a beginning. So it's a beginning of the new EV era in India. So that's going to be opening up a lot of first-time buyers who can get attracted to it, and of course the youth buyers as well. So that will be the first model of EV. Then of course we will be having the CBU of the Zero Series SUV in the future. That's the whole plan.
Right, and can you tell me a bit more about the possibility of the range, the battery? What are we looking at?
Yeah, that's a little difficult for me to say today because that's a prototype which we have showcased. So regarding the range, the battery, we're going to tell a little later, very closer to the launch timing.
Okay, and I would also like to understand a bit more about, Honda has been the pioneer in terms of the hydrogen fuel cell in the past. So what is the next step? What has been the evolution up next?
So, as an Indian market, it's quite competitive and it's quite a growing market, and we have the entire focus coming back to India. And not just one powertrain can solve the purpose. So you need to be good in ICE, you also need to be very strong in the hybrids, and then of course the EV. So we are not limiting ourselves to just 3 powertrains. In future, we are exploring more. So that's the overall, the philosophy for Honda in India. And as far as the hybrid goes, in the year 2027, we're going to launch a very high efficient hybrid. That's the first after the EV which we're trying to focus upon.
Actually, I was coming to the hybrids as well. I wanted to know that will you be focusing on bringing hybrids to say, the Elevate or the Amaze as well, or we're just sticking to
No,
a completely new model?
Yeah, so as I said, we are focusing on hybrids as well. So 2027 is going to be a global launch of the new hybrid that's more efficient, and also it's going to bring down the cost as well. So very difficult to say in which product range we're going to put that hybrid, but yes, for sure, the hybrid is going to expand in the Indian footprint as well.
But I have to ask you, the Honda City is of course such an iconic name and of course a product in India. What is the future evolution of it? Are we going to see an electric city in the future?
I think electric, we're trying to focus more on the Honda Zero Alpha as of now. And sedan is a very important footprint for Honda. I mean, Honda is city and city is Honda. That's what the Indian people know about it. So, well, sedan segment is kind of shrinking, but city holds a very important position in the sedan segment, and we are the only ones who are offering a hybrid as well. So, we will like to have the same focus on city going on.
As the curtains close on the Japan Mobility Show 2025, one thing is clear. The road ahead has never looked more exciting. We'll catch you next week. Here's me signing off then from Tokyo. Don't forget to drive and ride safe.